friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about a palette that I love, you probably love, everybody loves, and of course it got discontinued. This is the Good Sport palette from ColourPop Cosmetics. It's definitely one of my top favorite palettes of all time. When I made my favorites bundle with ColourPop last month, I jokingly said, hey, how about we bring back the Good Sport palette for my bundle? And they were like, LOL, no. So I tried. I just want you to know I'm on your side. I asked. I mean, I don't know what I expected, but yeah, it's still discontinued. I'm not that special. I'm just such a big fan of this palette. It's got such an interesting, unique, yet approachable color scheme. This was from a fall edit collection, so it does have some of those warm, orangey, yellowy type of colors, but there's also purple, green. We've got dark shades, light shades. It's just everything that I want in a palette. And unfortunately, you can't buy it anymore. So whether you are somebody who missed out on this gorgeous palette, or you're somebody who has loved yours to death and used up some of the shades, or whatever the case may be, I'm going to recreate this palette using a bunch of single shadows. In my previous recreation or inspired by BYOP videos, I've done all ColourPop singles. I was not able to do that for this particular palette. The Good Sport palette has some very unique shades in there. So I searched through my entire collection of singles. We have quite a few different brands in here. I'm not sure if all of these shades are even for sale anymore. When I was building this palette, I was just going off of what I had in my collection, and I wasn't so concerned about the brand or the availability. I wanted to just get the closest match possible. So my hope is that you can do something sort of similar. In these isolation times, I really want to try to make videos to encourage you to use what you already have in your collection. So I do apologize if you are not able to get any of these singles, whether they are sold out or discontinued. I genuinely apologize for that. My thinking was more of use the collection that we have on hand. So I do think I was able to build a pretty darn decent match for the Good Sport palette. And if you don't believe me, I am wearing the Good Sport palette on one eye and the Recreation palette on the other eye, and I don't think you would ever be able to tell. We'll find out, because I'm going to film another video with this eye look on and not mention what I'm wearing on my eyes and see if anybody notices a difference, but I don't think they will because I think they look exactly the same. So before we go through all the shades here, there is one in particular that I want to address. It's this shade, Rookie. This shade is so impossible to dupe. I ended up using two different shades mixed together as my replacement for this Rookie shade. It's just so unique. It definitely looks very unassuming in the pan. It does not look like the most difficult shade to dupe in this palette when you're just looking at it in the pan. But once you swatch it, it's such a multi-dimensional shadow. It's this sort of warm orangey bronze, but it's just filled with these little blue and purple glitters. It's such a unique shade. So to recreate that same feeling, I used first a base shadow. This is from Adept Cosmetics. This is ACS 28. And then I took this ColourPop shade called Miser and sort of put it on top. So I first layered down the Adept shadow, and then I put this one called Miser on top. Not an exact match, but a similar sort of feeling. I think if you used up Rookie, or if you never got this palette, then this could be a decent stand-in, this little shade combo. Just so that you know, I was really doing the most to try to recreate this palette. I wanted to clarify that customized shade before we take a look at the swatch comparisons. So let's take a look at these swatches. These are just finger swatches. The Good Sport palette is on top, and then the Recreation palette is below the Good Sport-ish palette. Maybe we should call it that. In the place of the shade Wild Out, we have a Morphe single shadow called Pink Moscato. Next is Hooky. Hooky is replaced with Crisscross from ColourPop. Then Rookie, we already talked about, that's the Adept ACS 28 with ColourPop Miser on top. Then we have the shade Sista. That one is duped by ColourPop's 143. Licious, another ColourPop dupe with the shade Rascal. Next we have High Hopes, and the stand-in for this one is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's their iconic burnt orange shade. A couple more ColourPop shades coming up here. The Good Sport shade Reckless is duped with ColourPop's Sleeper. And then Trooper was actually a shade that they released as a single, so I used my ColourPop single Trooper. I kind of feel like they made a Hooky or a Rookie single, but I don't have those, so this is the only like really cheating shade, and I'm sorry for that. Next, for the shade Hooked, we have Morphe's Bronzed Ivy. Then for Trophies, the stand-in is from Sydney Grace. It's called Trailhead. For the shade EBB, I know it looks like it should be Ebb because Flow is next, but this is capitalized, and ColourPop said way back in the day that EBB stands for Early Bird Breakfast, so it is EBB, not Ebb. Say what you want, but it's EBB. The stand-in for that one is Sydney Grace's Be the Sunshine. And lastly, in the Good Sport palette, the shade Flow is duped by the Adept Cosmetics shade ACM1. So those are all the swatches. Now I'm going to show you a close-up of the dupe palette. I kind of want to put that in air quotes because it's not an exact dupe, it's just as close as I could possibly get. The Recreation palette, let's call it that. I'm going to show you a close-up of the Recreation palette, and I'll put all the shade names on top. So if you want to pause the video, take a screenshot, or write down which single shades you're interested in, this is the time to do that. Now that you've seen the swatches, you've seen the shade names in the palette, now let's take a look at how these palettes stack up side by side in action on my eyes. I used the Good Sport palette on this eye and then my Recreation on this eye. I used the exact same brush for application on each eye. So I'll dip into the Good Sport palette and apply this eye, and then every single time I clean off with my Viramona color switch. That way you're truly seeing how these two palettes perform side by side with the same brush, doing the same look at the same time. I use the same brush for consistency, but I did clean it off every single time I switched from side to side. Now let's take a look at that tutorial. We're going to be priming both eyes with my favorite eye base. It's my MAC Paint Pot in the shade Painterly, just swiping that on with my fingers. And then I used a little bit of my setting powder to just quickly swipe over both of my lids. Now we're getting to the good stuff, side by side using these two palettes. I'm gonna start with the Good Sport palette first. I'm gonna be using this toasty tan shade called High Hopes and applying that to my crease area. I'm really taking my time to blend that upwards towards the brow bone. I am going to be adding quite a bit of depth, so I want a nice smooth crease area, as well as building that High Hopes shade up on the lower lash line, just with a small flat brush. And I did decide to go back and add a little bit more intensity to that crease area using the shade High Hopes. Now I'm going to clean off my brush, and using the exact same brush, I'm going into the Anastasia Beverly Hills Single Shadow in Burnt Orange. This is quite pigmented. I just used a little tiny bit on my brush, and I think this is such a good match for High Hopes. Again, just blending out the crease area there, as well as applying some to my lower lash line. Again, I did clean off my brush. Now I'm going back to Good Sport. We're going to be using the shade Reckless. I first started applying this with a small fluffy brush, and then I decided to switch over to a flat brush because I really wanted a deep, dark, sort of smoky eggplant type of look. Then I used, of course, my color switch to clean off that little flat brush. Now I'm using the ColourPop single shadow called Sleeper and just packing that onto the outer part of the eye, exactly like I did on the other side. I really want to try to get as even opacity as I can to really make these eye looks match. Then I used a pencil brush and put a little bit of that along the lower lash line, clean off the pencil brush, you know the drill. Now using Sleeper in the same way on that lower lash line. I wanted to add some brightness when I was blending, so I'm using the shade Hooky on a medium-sized fluffy brush and using that to blend together the crease shade and that outer corner shade. Then I went back in with my original crease shade and really just tried to blow out that whole look and make sure everything was really, really smooth and diffused all the way up, all the way out. Then I used those same two brushes, of course, after cleaning them off. First with Crisscross to warm up and brighten up that outer crease area. And then I went back with ABH Burnt Orange to blend everything together and get nice and blown out look. Now I'm going to be using my fingers. I'm going to apply with my pinky finger the shade Wild Out into that inner corner area. Wiped off my little pinky and used the exact same method to apply Morphe's Pink Moscato to the inner corner. Now for my lid shade, I'm using this gorgeous bright yellow called Licious. Again, just tapping that on with my fingertip and sort of blending as I reach the outer part. Exact same method, this time using ColourPop's Rascal. Really packing that shade on towards the inner corner and then sort of patting once I reach the middle part of the eye to get a nice blend. Then I curled my lashes, added my Milk Makeup Kush Mascara to both eyes, and that is the finished look. Here we can see side by side the recreation versus the original Good Sport palette. I think that this look turned out so beautiful, so fun. Both eyes look basically completely the same to me, totally interchangeable. I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. I'm really pleased overall with how my eye look turned out, with how my recreation palette turned out. I genuinely hope that this was helpful or at the very least entertaining. If you have any other suggestions for great stand-ins for this Good Sport palette, I always love to hear what you think about things. I love hearing your ideas. You guys always give the best suggestions. So leave all your thoughts down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Huh? Neutrino? No, what is it? Earthshine? No, that's not it. Well, whatever, it doesn't matter. Who knows what I'm talking about at this point. Why am I so awkward? I really don't want anybody to complain about background noise because we're doing the best we can out here, okay? Oh, I said a bad word. I'm definitely editing that out. Bad word. But I did want to... I don't know what I was saying. In between each... What is this? It's a windshield wiper. What's happening? We've really devolved here. I'm fine. So, and what am I even, what? What? Oh, I forgot to ask this, so I'll ask the Stay to the End squad. What palette should I do next? A lot of people have been asking for the Huda Mercury Retrograde. So I could do that one. That wouldn't be an exact dupe though for sure, because her formulas are out of this world. Okay, I'll stop. I've been home for too long. Sorry. Yeah, let me know. Stay to the End squad. Which palettes should we recreate? Because it's gonna be a long time that we're here, so I'm gonna be recreating a lot of palettes. Okay, gotta go. Wash your hands, stay safe, stay home if you can. Please stay home, stay away from people, stay healthy. Okay, love your face. Okay, bye.